Why are you excited to be here tonight?
Because I'm just excited.
Yeah. No other explanation. Now, I do believe, tell me the truth, is it true that your dad has a ringside seat but didn't get you guys ringside seats?
That is true, but it's because of his YouTube channel, okay? It's his YouTube, okay?
Her dad's an influencer. Let him go, guys. But your dad's awesome, right?
Yeah.
See, he's awesome. Yeah! Give it up for Claire. Thank you so much, Claire. High five. Yeah.
If it wasn't discrimination, and you have the nerve, you have the nerve to sit there on your high horse and preach to these bottom-feeding dwellers who sit in the chat room like Alliance Blog, who's been doing this for over a decade and still only got 2,000 followers. Yeah, I see you. You're a jabroni and a ham sandwich, and I don't want to hear from you ever again about what the NWA is supposed to do. This is what pro wrestling's supposed to be. This is what the NWA is supposed to be. No. You don't tell anyone what the NWA is supposed to be, and you certainly don't lecture me about what the NWA is supposed to be. I made the NWA.
Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Poppy.
Here's the story now. If I see Kevin Owens, or even someone who looks like Kevin Owens, I drop them on sight.
Welcome.
It's party time!
So, what day is it today?
Tuesday?
Wrong. It's NWA Day.
They want NWA? Let's give them NWA.
I was thinking that it might be a good idea if you and I formed an alliance.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Attention, everyone. Welcome to the greatest wrestling program in the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? Stop what you're doing and listen.
Okay, let's party.
It's the pre-party with J. Cal.
What is up, everybody?
It's party time!
So, what day is it?
If I didn't mess up, it wouldn't be the pre-party. Hey, this is J. Cal. This is the pre-party, not to be confused with Kevin Owens. And we're talking all things NWA. And this, like I said, is the pre-party presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. Like I said, I'm J. Cal, and just had a great conversation with my guy, Soto619, who was, me and him were up on TikTok. I did the same, I played the same video here on YouTube as well. It was a vertical video as opposed to the horizontal video that you're watching now. And that was a lot of fun. We talked a lot of WWE. If you guys are fans of the WWE, and Willie, I know you're not a fan of the WWE, so you don't have to do this. But anyone else who just is a casual WWE fan or a diehard, go follow my pal Soto619. This is him right here. If you see his face, go give him a follow on YouTube or on social media, TikTok, Instagram, all those good places. He's a good dude. Although he's not into the NWA yet, I am relentlessly trying to get him to get involved. Not quite an alliance guy, but he's part of the family. So give him a hello and how you doing. And if you guys were watching on YouTube, I apologize. The screen is so small on YouTube, I couldn't read most of the comments, but I did see Noob was there, and Noob is here. I do appreciate that. I know Championship Wrestling from Jeremy was there, and anybody else who happened to be on there and I didn't see, apologize for not like acknowledging, but like I said, it was very small fonts. It's kind of hard to see on the old phone. But yeah, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me then. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me now. We got Willie Bowen in the house, and he's got the Tyrus joke of the week. Tyrus will be in a new TV series called Knife, Fork, and Plate. Should be empty plate. Willie doesn't like Tyrus very much. None of us really like Tyrus here at the Alliance blog. We had to live with him as a world's heavyweight champion in what could be considered one of the darkest times in recent memories for the National Wrestling Alliance. Our guy, Double D, Devin Dowling, occasional Alliance guy. He's here in the chat. What's up, Double D? Thanks for hanging out. Bobby Bettito, my friend, how are you, sir? Noob is here. What's going on, Noob? Over Metal's in the house. I haven't seen Over Metal in a video in a long time. Thanks for hanging out with us today, Matt. Appreciate you being here. Of course, Sam Retro's in the house. What's going on? The great Hisa's here. Hisa, man, you earn everything that I've ever positively said about you. I do mean this, and if you guys don't believe me, like I can't say it enough. If it wasn't for the great Hisa and his Wrestling Titles website, I don't know that there would be an Alliance blog. He made it very easy to kind of follow the wrestling history of the National Wrestling Alliance, and you know, some people call it the frontier time or the dark period, the dark ages, whatever you want to call it. Hisa kept track of it and did everyone a service by documenting that. His website is wrestling-titles.com, and it covers all title histories, but they do have a significant amount of news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. It covers a lot of the Japanese wrestling, and of course, even current title changes. Like I just went to his website right now. They're covering the WWE, NXT, TNA, Progress, GCW. I mean, he is on it, and it's such a great service, and he doesn't charge you to go check it out. So it's awesome. Very excited for you to even stop by and acknowledge us, Hisa, because again, you were very, you had a lot to do with me doing this. Retro's here. I guess 2/3 of the Discord Wolf Pack is in the house. That's right. I like that you guys have a nickname, the Wolf Pack. I'd like to be a part of a Wolf Pack one day. Has the bracket been how's the wait, let me try that again. I think you're asking, has the bracket been released or did you miss it? The tournament seems to be taking a back seat. Missed the NWA live stream. Bracket should be released the week of at least. Matt, I have not seen anything with the bracket. The only thing we know for certain is that the World Tag Team Champions Murdochs, that's Mike Knox and Trevor Murdoch for those who don't know, are seeded number one. Deservedly so, although I might have given the number one seed to Kerry and Taylor considering they won the tournament last year, but evidently Billy opted to give the top seeding to the Tag Team Champions, which is probably the best move. Bobby Bettino says, I had a great day today. La Princess Tiffany Nieves and Hammerstone saw my post on Twitter X today. That's cool, man. Hammerstone is coming. Tiffany Nieves is coming. All the stars are shining down at the 2300 Arena on May the 17th, this Saturday. And your boy Jay, I will be there. I'm going to be there. I know Dave Scooby's going to be there. I know Rick Del Santo's going to be there. We're going to drag Jaden kicking and screaming to be there. I don't know if anybody else is coming. Like on my list, what do I got on my list? I've got, which names do I have? I have Dave Scooby. Oh, Big Chris Dog will be there. Jaden and Scooby. Scooby, Chris, Rick, Jay, and Jaden. We're going to force Jaden to come. So that's exciting. We have that to look forward to. But yeah, this is a interesting time because the tournament is taking a back seat, Matt. That's not just your astute observation. I mean, that is 100% fact. I mean, when we look at what is everyone talking about when it comes to the Crockett Cup, it is all about Natalya. It's all about Natty Neihart coming in to challenge for the NWA Women's World Championship. And there is some talk about Rhino coming in, but it's all about Natty. And I don't hate it. I don't hate it. We talked about this last week, and it's not going to happen. But if the NWA was smart, and I'm not calling the NWA stupid, but I think there's an opportunity that they're leaving money on the table. This tournament can take a back seat. This whole entire tournament could be the fuel for power for the next month of TV tapings after this, hard times and all that stuff. But I feel like the kettle is hot. The stokes in the fire are red hot. People want to see Tiffany. They want to see Natty Neihart. They want to see Kenzie Page. They just announced Gail Kim as a special guest referee. They want to see Rhino. They want to see Tom Latimer. Those two matches should be 100% without any question live on YouTube, on X, whatever platform the NWA chooses to do so. Those matches should be available instantaneously. And honestly, we see MLW do this quite a bit, where they'll have a 1 hour live event on YouTube, and then the other 2 hours or 3 hours film matches for their TV. And I don't know why the NWA doesn't do this. Now, I'm not saying that every single match needs to be televised, but those two, most importantly, should be. And maybe you do those two matches and the women's tag team match. Or maybe do those two matches and the TV title match. But there has never been a more palpable excitement, more palpable energy, where people care about what the NWA is doing, and they won't see it for 6 weeks, 10 weeks. Who knows? Right? We're still talking about the entire Hard Times signature live event was filmed back in March, which isn't that long ago. And we haven't even crept into those tapings back in March, the Hard Times in Dothan, right? And after that, I don't think there was anything else filmed. So once we get through Hard Times, then we go to the Crockett Cup. But there's at least 4 weeks of TV, maybe 5 weeks of TV from just those tapings in Dothan, let alone whatever else is still in the can that they're distributing leading up to it. No, you can't watch the live. That's the horrible part. Soto is a WWE fan. He would tune in to watch Natty Neihart challenge for the Burke. He wants to see Natalya win the NWA Women's World Championship, and he won't be able to see it because we won't be able to see it for at least 6 weeks after this is filmed. It's crazy. Oh, and if you guys want to know the results, I mean, just go to alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information, because we will post the spoilers there. If you guys don't want it spoiled, that's cool, man, but you might not want to hang out in these areas, because I'm not going to keep the secret anymore. If the NWA doesn't want to get their product out there until 6 weeks from the show, that's on them. But I want to serve the fan base that's excited about the NWA. I'm going to reward the fans who are excited about the NWA. We'll try to put as many clips as we can up on YouTube. We'll try to put as many clips on social media. We will talk all things NWA during, before, and after the Crockett Cup. So if we have exclusive video, you will have exclusive video. If we have parts of the match or the whole damn thing, you'll see it. Just stay tuned. More like 2 months to watch the Crockett Cup. Noob, you ain't kidding, man. You ain't kidding. Bobby, thank you for hanging out. I appreciate that. Let's see. Is Natalya the only WWE superstar advertised for that event? Yes. Natalya, as of right now, is the only WWE superstar that's going to be a part of this event. We do know that Gail Kim will be the special referee for that match, formerly of TNA, but currently I think she's a free agent. And I don't think she's really in a wrestling role at this point in her career. Rhino, who is most closely associated with AEW and Ring of Honor right now, he just made an appearance for ROH TV, and I think he did an appearance for AEW as well. So he is, I believe, a part of the AEW roster right now, if not a full-time roster member, at least a occasional seasonal employee. I don't know. And then you know, who's to say what's going to happen next? Hammerstone will be at the event. Hammerstone is a free agent. He takes on Silas Mason. A lot of people are excited about that. But as far as additional WWE talent, so far the only name that has been announced is Natty Neidhart. Now, would I be upset if somebody like Karrion Kross showed up? Absolutely not. I'm just not going to hold my breath for it, though. Let's see. Double D, I'll be there too with FaceTime, right, J Cal? Look, man, I'm going to try to get as much content as I can from this event. It's not cheap to fly to Philadelphia. It's not cheap to stay in a hotel, and it's not cheap to eat out every day for the 4 days that I'm in and around the Philly, New Jersey area. So I'm going to try to make the most of this. We're going to post spoilers. We're going to post photos and videos as quickly, as frequently as possible, because this is a big event for the NWA, and we're going to treat it as such. Bobby Battito says, I tweeted, I says, I'd like to see Tiffany Nieves in Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, and she quoted my post and says, same. Yeah, I think Tiffany Nieves would fit perfectly in Maple Leaf Pro, and depending on what Tiffany Nieves wants, I mean, I feel like there's a very palpable reason why she started doing shows with Reality of Wrestling. I think given the opportunity to work with a WWE ID promotion, I mean, that's the quickest way to be recognized by the WWE, right? Conversely, Maple Leaf Pro is in bed with AEW. I'm not saying that they're the same or that one is owned by the other or anything like that, but there's certainly a working relationship there. The Walking Weapon, why can't I think of his name right now? I know it's the Walking Weapon. He just won their Canadian championship, and Don Callis even said that they're going to bring that title to AEW. So cool, man. That's super cool. But if you're trying to get a job in the WWE, I don't think Maple Leaf Pro is the place to go. I think if you're trying to get a job with AEW, that's where you want to go. Sure. Tiffany Nieves has the whole world in the palm of her hand, and I hope she makes the best of it. Markova didn't win the NWA New Mexico title over the weekend, but Zamea won the title. Hopefully Natalia Markova will win that title sooner than later. I mean, Noob, I want Markova to be in the main event picture for the NWA and its women's division. And who knows, maybe she takes on the winner of Natty and Kenzie at Crockett Cup. Maybe we'll see her at the 77th anniversary show. The NWA shouldn't be a vanity project. Boy, you're not kidding, Chris. But, someone pointed out something to me, and they said, look, it's not a vanity project. He's way too invested for this to be a vanity project, because a vanity project is set to make you look good, right? I don't do something in terms of vanity unless it's going to make me look better. But what the NWA is now currently does not reflect in a positive light on Billy. William Patrick Corgan does not look like a bigger star because of the NWA. If he had The Rock on his TV show, then people would be like, yeah, Billy Corgan, man, he's just going to spend the money to have the stars. Like, I genuinely feel like he is trying to build the NWA. I just don't think he knows how to build a wrestling promotion. And why would he? He's an entertainer. He knows how to make songs. He knows how to get people interested in his music. He's done a great job of that. He has a great character, this whole lore behind the Smashing Pumpkins and Zwan and all those other things. But what he's failed to do is to get people excited about the NWA on a consistent basis. All in, people were stoked about the NWA. Then it tapered off after Cody lost the title. Then we came into the Crockett Cup 2018. People were excited. People were talking about it. The partnership with Ring of Honor, the partnership with New Japan Pro Wrestling and CMLL. It was beneficial to the NWA. And then it tapered off. And then Power came out, and initially people loved it. People were going apeshit for it. Other wrestlers from other organizations were talking about it on Twitter, now X, because it was popular. It was cool. It was different. That's all gone away. The goodwill that came from those initial Power episodes is gone. So the NWA needs to do something to take that next step. And if it was a vanity project, Billy would have hired the right people to get in here to make him look like a bigger deal. I still don't know why Wrecking Ball and Jay Bradley are fighting each other. Double D, we're still waiting on that confirmation too. It doesn't make any sense. And it's a steel chain match. So like, okay, that escalated quickly. We saw him on TV wrestle, and it didn't seem like anything crazy happened. We don't know why it escalated so quickly, and we won't know for weeks. Thanks, Bobby. More like 2 months, yeah. Chris Dog will be spoiling the show. Chris, Alliance-Wrestling.com. Who do you think goes up against the Tonga Twins at Crockett Cup? That's a great question. Although it hasn't been announced yet because we don't have, again, the build-up for Crockett Cup is suffering because television is so far behind. What we're seeing on X every week is so far behind what is being presented live that we haven't seen who will be the tag team champions at Crockett Cup, the women's tag team champions. So I would guess that we're going to see the Tonga Twins challenge for the tag titles, whoever the champions are. Soto, I don't know if I'll be able to do that. I don't know if they'll even let me do that. But I'm going to try. I'm going to try to do something. Overmetal says Gail Kim versus Natty at the WWE Evolution 2 for the Burke is what this smells like. Matt, you're speaking my language, dog. You're speaking my language. Hell yes. It would work so well with the continuity. Look, I'm willing to say they can have the Burke for a couple of months on WWE programming. We still have a TV title and tag titles that could be facilitated. And I know, Willie Bowen, I know you hate this, but oh man, that would be such a cool idea if Natty Neidhart wins the Burke and she takes it and she goes defends it on main event and she goes defend it in NXT, and who knows, maybe they do a special match on LFG. I don't care how obscure the WWE product is. If the WWE is featuring the NWA Women's World Championship, it's going to create buzz, and that's exactly what the NWA needs. This Crockett Cup needs to create buzz. And I'm not saying that we need to have every title change hands, and I'm not saying that Latimer needs to drop the belt to Rhino, but if Natty Neidhart wins a title, you will have buzz. If Rhino wins a title, there will still be some buzz, but not nearly as prolific. I mean, a WWE contracted wrestler holding the NWA World Championship is a big freaking deal. It's a big deal. War Raiders would be the pick, Jay. I'll take War Raiders. I'll take them. Look, I think there's still an opening in the Crockett Cup. I mean, I think the last time I counted, I only had 15 teams. So if you got Eric and Ivar, like, let's go. Let's go. I'm still new to this, but why does the NWA take so long to put out their content? In the modern day where they can live stream to multiple social media platforms with no TV deal needed. Oh, Soto, oh man. This is the bane of our existence as NWA fans. Initially, after last year's 2 years ago, after the 75th anniversary show, they announced a deal with the CW, and that as a part of that deal with the CW, the story is they were required to have at least 4 weeks of wrestling in the can so that CW could make any necessary edits to the show so that it passed their standard and practices. At least that was the story we were told. But there is no deal with CW, and they've continued to shoot content very far out and then slowly distribute it on X. What you're saying, though, we've been arguing about for months. Yes, a TV deal would be more beneficial than just streaming it on social media platforms and YouTube. But they've opted to lock it in with X, although, which is weird because X isn't typically thought of as a video sharing content platform. YouTube is more for that. Facebook even has better I think better numbers when it comes to content viewing, but X pays for engagement. If you are having content that is engaging, they pay pretty high ratios for engagement. So the more people who are active on X, the more money is paid out for those certified users. The NWA is certified on X, and so the more people who watch the program, tweet about it, talk about it, the more they get paid. And I guess those numbers are greater than what the numbers they're getting on YouTube, which is where they were previously. Now they're still showing matches from Power and their signature live events on YouTube, but those are, again, just one-off matches, not the entire show. Yes, Noob, 100%. Josh Alexander, the walking weapon. Bobby Batuto says it was nice to see Stu Grayson in the ring against Tom Latimer last Saturday on Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. Yeah, 100%. 100%. It was good to see Stu Grayson. I did not see the entire show. I did see some clips, and Stu Grayson went out there and fought like a lion. Like, he fought with a lot of tenacity, a lot of courage. He was outclassed, outweighed, outstrength, outspeed. You know, Tom Latimer is a phenomenal athlete. You know, whether you like him as a wrestler or not, the dude takes care of himself. He's in great shape. He's built like a Greek god, and deservedly so. Stu Grayson went out there and fought. Scrappy, lost. That's what should have happened. Stu Grayson, a lot of effort, a lot of, all the credit in the world for going out there and taking that loss. But ultimately, at the end of the day, Tom Latimer retained. Spend the money to have the stars, you say. Yeah, I think the NWA is going to be so much better when Billy can afford to spend. And in the past, we've seen him spend. Like, look, he was paying a lot of talent during COVID, and I feel like that was a classy move. But, that does take a lot out of you. I don't know what Billy's plan is. He doesn't want partners, but he doesn't want to just give money away either. And it's not like he is, he's wealthy, but he's not like a billionaire. He's not Tony Khan. Or someone trying to get into the NWA but wants to watch a historic match. What matches or matches would you recommend? It's a great question. I think the best match to probably watch right now, I feel like if you could go and find Nick Aldis versus Trevor Murdoch from the NWA 73, I think really kind of set the tone for what the NWA is right now. It was a very good match. The storytelling leading up to it was maybe even better, but Aldis was terrified to wrestle Trevor Murdoch and did everything he could to get out of it. And Trevor Murdoch was Trevor Murdoch leading into his time with the NWA was mostly retired from pro wrestling. He came in at first to be like an agent, and then they talked him into a wrestling position. And his first match there, he was putting over guys like Ricky Starks, and then he became world champion, and now he's the tag team champion, has been for almost a year now. So that would probably be the big one to watch. Which NWA wrestler would you like to see go against Josh Alexander for the Maple Leaf Canadian Championship? That's a tough one. My first answer for everything NWA related is Silas Mason, because I feel like he is the most complete NWA performer at this time. He doesn't have the name recognition, but he is big. He's got what the kids call the Riz. He's very charismatic. He can cut amazing promos. He's got the work rate, and if he needs to, he can shoot, brother, and that's a shoot. So that would probably be my first choice, would be Silas Mason. The next guy, maybe Mike Mondo, maybe Burchill. I'd like to see someone use those guys in a way that might elevate them. Then the cocaine fiasco happened. No, Noob, I'm going to be honest with you, Noob. That didn't do anything. That was fan speculation. That didn't hurt anything. And I'm saying this not as a fan who thinks he knows more than you. I'm saying this as somebody who talked to people who were also in those talks to get a deal on CW. The CW deal was always going to be for the WWE. That opportunity came up in the summer before Saul win. That was already a done deal. That once those negotiations started, nobody else had a chance. The United Wrestling Network wanted a spot, TNA was fighting for a spot, and the NWA was fighting for a spot. The NWA accepted the streaming app, and I don't know if that was always supposed to be a short-term thing or was going to be if that changed once the deal with CW was finalized. But that was never that cocaine spot never was the reason why they weren't on the CW TV. Oh, that's a great one, Matt. Over Metal, Matt, Colby Carinos versus Josh Alexander. That would be a good one too. Last weekend live stream of the Crockett Cup 2024 was labeled as YouTube featured, which apparently is a bump in the Al Gore likely paid. Look, shoot, man. I don't know about that. That's a good one too, Bobby. Sorry, I'll get back to that, Matt. That's a good one too. Kratos would be a lot of fun. Last weekend, the live stream was labeled as YouTube featured. I don't know. I don't hate the idea of YouTube featuring the NWA, but I don't know if that's what it was. I don't know. As a content creator for YouTube, I've not had anything like that, but I'm also not as a big a creator as the NWA. The last time I checked, and I'm going to check right now, I know that the NWA YouTube channel had like over 200,000 subscribers. And just to look right now, as of May 13th at 2:33 p.m. on the West Coast, they have 319 subscribers, and that's pretty significant. They've produced more than 1,000 videos, and in the last day, I mean, they've had the Tom Latimer answers Aaron Stevens that had 1,000 views. Aaron is having a match at his house, had 1,000 views. The match between Brian Idol and Hunter had 1,000 views. The tag team match, the Clones versus the Immortals, had 2,000 views. The women's three-way with La Rosa Negra had 7,000 views. The match with Blunt Force Trauma and Pretty Boy Smooth and EC3 had 5,000 views. I mean, they're getting decent viewers. Look at this. When Rhino showed up at Hard Times, 41,000 people saw that. Now, of course, it's a short. You always get bigger numbers on that, but still 41,000 people saw that. And then just out of curiosity, I'm wondering what their most popular video is. So I'm going to find it right now. The most popular video. Come on, show me the most popular. Okay, the bull rope match between Tyrus and EC3 had 297,000 people watch. Camille versus Taya Valkyrie from NWA 74 had 848,000 people watch. EC3 versus Matt Cardona had 786,000. The three-way with Markova and Kenzie, and I think it was Tiffany, had 502,000. Although I think the thumbnail might have had a reason for that. The world title match between Aldis, Sam Shaw, Trevor Murdoch, and Tom Latimer had 390,000. I mean, they've had some videos get some pretty good numbers, but you know, these all pale in comparison to when you get to the WWE numbers. David Valentine says Flair versus Funk in the I Quit match, Flair versus Steamboat. You're talking about classics, David, and there's nothing wrong with those classics, but I mean, there's no real correlation to the NWA of Ric Flair and Terry Funk to the NWA that is EC3 and Tom Latimer. There just isn't. It's not the same. Yes, it's the same lineage. Yes, there's the same history, but no. I mean, if you're trying to get somebody to get into the NWA today, you can't show them, you know, Ric Flair versus Rick Steamboat because it's not the same. You got to show them something modern. Like, I wouldn't even show someone a Scrap Iron Adam Pierce match because it's such a generational gap. You know, there's I recently shared on our YouTube channel. It's not the YouTube channel. It's on the Alliance-Wrestling.com website, the tribute to Sabu. there was a match that featured Steve Corino, who was the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, defending against Sabu. I wouldn't show that video to someone today and say this is what the NWA is, because that's two different animals. That's fair, Sean. That's fair. Valentine's David says Mason couldn't carry Slade or Drake's jock straps. Okay, so first of all, Spencer Slade's a great choice. I love that. Spencer Slade versus Jake Alexander would be a great match. 100% agree with you on that. Carson Drake is nothing on Silas Mason. He's a dance. He's a gimmick. He's bullshit. I don't know why you guys are so excited about that guy. He is not. Maybe it's me. He hasn't compelled me to buy one single ticket or to watch a single match. Let's see. The underrated Zion would be a great match for Alexander. Yeah, I don't think Zion is as good as you think he is. That's not to say he couldn't be, but what the NWA has done with him is almost nothing. And I'm not excited to see a Zion match ever. But that doesn't mean that they couldn't do something with him to build him up. Because I think he certainly could be something worthwhile. I just don't think he's there right now. Zion and Colby had a good match ruined by Billy Corgan's commentary. Yeah, I mean, I'm not in love with Billy on commentary. I just don't think he's where it's at. And I'll be honest, guys, I feel kind of like a heel today because I didn't have, obviously, the wrestling world is suffering with the loss of Sabu. And I didn't have that moment of silence for him before the show. So I'm going to get back to your guys' comments in a minute, but let's just take like 30 seconds to acknowledge an icon in the sport of professional wrestling, the former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Sabu. Sabu was one of those guys who, history hopefully will remember him more fondly than today. People seem to have forgotten how important Sabu was to professional wrestling. And we look at a promotion like ECW as the genesis for a lot of the sports entertainment we see today. I mean, things like the tables and ladders and chair matches that was made famous in the WWE, the ECW arena, the 2300. We're all going there on Saturday for the Crockett Cup. But just remember that if it wasn't for Sabu, we look at ECW as this holy grail of pro wrestling. But what was the spirit behind ECW? Some people will say Tommy Dreamer. Some people will say Raven. Hell, some people will even say Rob Van Dam. And there's some truth to all of that. But what would ECW have been without Sabu? Sabu brought a style of hardcore, extreme wrestling that hadn't been seen by anybody. I mean, the matches in Puerto Rico, the death matches, were probably close. Mick Foley and Terry Funk fighting in Japan and explosive barbed wire matches were pretty close. But the day in, day out grind that Sabu and Taz and, like I said, RVD, Raven, Sandman, Tommy Dreamer, these guys built ECW. And if it wasn't for that time, the pro wrestling world would look very different. You guys remember what the WWE looked like in 1993, 1994, 1995? It's very cartoonish. And yes, WCW constantly borrowed from elements from ECW. I was talking about this with Soto earlier on TikTok. It was Eric Bischoff seeing Psicosis and Rey Mysterio in the ECW arena that brought the Luchadors to the cruiserweight division of WCW. And imagine if Paul Heyman never went out and found those guys. You know, like at that point, you know, AAA was still a known commodity, but you know, Lucha Libre in the US wasn't as big of a thing as it is right now. Sabu was the heart and soul of ECW, and no one could tell me otherwise. He was the gas. He was what people tuned in for. His rivalry with Terry Funk, his rivalry with Taz, people were into it. Then teaming with RVD brought a whole new element to it, and I don't believe that ECW would have existed the way it did, and it wouldn't have been as influential as it is had it not been for Sabu. Now, with that being said, Sabu, he left ECW. He left ECW probably at the height of his popularity, and you know what he did? He went to XPW, the Southern California Timu version of ECW, and became the XPW World Champion. And simultaneous, while being XPW World Champion and defending that title monthly here in Southern California, he also was the NWA World Champion and held that title for 38 days. And when he wasn't champion, he was pursuing the title while outside of ECW. It wasn't a long reign. It's not like Sabu built the NWA, but we should acknowledge a trailblazer who held the 10 pounds of gold. When we talk about the famous names who've held that title, I mean, obviously Luthez comes to a lot of people's minds, Ric Flair, right? These are the two biggest names that have held that title. I think some might say Harley Race, some might say Ricky Steamboat, some might say Dusty Rhodes, right? But there was a point in time when the NWA didn't have much, right? Dan Severn was already the world's heavyweight champion, come and gone. And there was a time where the NWA needed stars, and it turned to its past territory in ECW. I mean, they put the belt on Sabu. You know, it wasn't like they put it on him. He had to come down to Florida and beat Mike Rapata to become champion, and he would end up losing that title to Rapata again. But you know, he defended the title in Dennis Corluzzo's promotions in New Jersey. He would go all the way to Tacoma, Washington to challenge Steve Corino for the 10 pounds of gold. They would have another match in British Columbia for that title. And I want you guys to understand that in a time where nobody was talking about the NWA and they didn't have the big stars that they did in yesteryear, these were the guys that were championing the NWA. So again, we have to acknowledge what Sabu did for the industry. We have to acknowledge what Sabu did, even for the short time that he was associated with the National Wrestling Alliance, what he did. And let's not forget, too, that once he was done with ECW and ECW was gone, Sabu would come back and be an integral part of TNA Wrestling, where he challenged for the 10 pounds of gold multiple times, whether it was against Ken Shamrock, or in multi-man matches with Jeff Jarrett and Abyss, Samoa Joe. Like, he was a part of what made the NWA title important for TNA Wrestling. So, my condolences to his family, his friends, and may he rest in peace, and may he get the flowers that he deserves. And if this Saturday, I really hope we get a 10-bell salute for the legend that is Sabu. And I mean, what more of a fitting place to do that than the ECW arena? Whew. I'm tired of having to talk about wrestlers that I liked passing away way too young. 60 years is young. Rest in peace, Sabu. Getting back to some of your guys' comments, Carson Drake is great, but I wouldn't put him over Silas. Attaboy, Double D. Attaboy. Sean Vega says Carson Drake is the classic heel you want to see beat up. But that's the thing. That's the thing, Sean. Remember what they used to call X-Pac 1-2-3 Kid? He had the Sean Waltman heat, right? It wasn't that you wanted to see him get beat up. It's that you changed the channel when he came on. For me, that's Carson Drake. I don't know why you guys like him so much, and that's cool, man. Enjoy. He's obviously being thrusted down our throats. That sounded so bad. But nevertheless, that's what's happening. I'm not a fan. I haven't seen anything yet to compel me to think that he's a heat monster, a heat magnet, or that he's worth watching every week. I'm not into it. H2O, I'm glad you're here, man. We talk NWA every Tuesday and every Thursday. And then sometimes we do on Sundays, we do another program too where we talk about MLW, the United Wrestling Network, and some NWA talk. I hope you'll hang out and check it out. Carson Drake is the best technical wrestler in the NWA, Sean Vega. Now I know you're trolling, Double Dave Valentine. Now I know you're trolling. DV. Yeah, rest in peace, Sabu. That's cool. Sabu is defined what Extreme is, from the way he used from the way chairs are used, tables, the way the whole ring is used. And the thing about Sabu is he was a walking weapon. You know, I just mentioned Jake Alexander. That's his nickname, is the walking weapon. But Sabu really was a walking weapon. Defying fear itself. That's right. If you watched wrestling in 94, 95, Sabu was unreal. Absolutely. And Chris, I mean, I get it. Like Sandman was a part of it too, but if you took Sandman out of ECW and you left everything the same, what would be different? What would be different? Now remove Sabu from ECW and left everything the same. What would be different? Just visualize that. You're talking about two completely different companies. And honestly, you're talking about two different lasting effects. Sandman could have been replaced by a lot of people, but nobody could have replaced Sabu. Tyler Franks is also a guy that the NWA needs to push. Still a little green, but the talent is there. I agree with you on that. I think Tyler Franks has a bright future ahead of him, and I hope the NWA continues to use him in a positive way. I feel like he could be something very important for the NWA down the road. Bruiser Brody was hardcore too, Jake Al. 100%. I don't want to diminish Brody for the sake of Sabu, but what I'm saying is Sabu was a generational talent that the industry emulated almost on all aspects. We didn't see high-flying moves like we saw from Sabu back then, right? Like Scott Steiner did a Frankensteiner, yeah? Rey Mysterio did a head scissors takedown. Why can't I think of the name right now? We saw some cool stuff from luchadors and from international talent. Sabu consistently did things in the ring that nobody else could do, and very few could even do today. Triple jump moonsault. Tell me who's better at that than Sabu. Hayabusa kind of could do it, but maybe not even as good as Sabu. Terry Funk, Sabu, Mick Foley, etc. That generation were like no other humans. Peak pain tolerance, for sure. Brody didn't have the impact Sabu had. Exactly, Sean. David, I guess you're being serious right now. I don't look at Mongo the same way as I look at Sabu, for sure. I don't want anyone to be... Look, I think all death is tragedy, right? I do. But Mongo had no lasting effect in the world of professional wrestling. I'm not trying to be a dick right now, but come on. You're comparing somebody who literally changed the sport versus a guy who, if he never stepped into the ring, what would we have lost? I mean, you're making me sound like a dick, but I have to be right down the middle. Like Sabu was the guy. Mongo didn't look great in the ring, my friend. Millennial Noob says, if you want more about XPW, go watch Dark Side of the Ring. There's a lot of bad about that. You're wrong, Sean Vega. Japan, Texas, Houston, Dallas, and Mid-Atlantic and Georgia areas love Bruiser Brody. Willie, no one's saying that Bruiser Brody wasn't beloved, but how did Bruiser Brody change the sport? Because I'll give you 100 reasons, or not 100. I'll give you at least 4 ways that Sabu changed the business. Brody was a great talent. He was an awesome talent. It's a shame that we didn't get the best of Brody. But I don't think he changed the business quite like Sabu. Do we think Gail Kim is in line to replace Jazz in the NWA? Maybe. I feel like Gail Kim I know Gail Kim wasn't used as an agent in TNA wrestling. Gail Kim was used as talent relations. And if anything, I think she would probably be better suited in AEW or maybe even the WWE. I don't see how Gail Kim and Pat Kenny's job is talent relations in the NWA. Now, could they bring in Jazz to be an agent? Or excuse me, can they bring in Gail Kim to be an agent? Sure. But I don't think she's going to be a free agent for very long. Sean Mega says Carson Drake on the last X of the show is really good. Yeah. Carson Drake the fake. David, I mean, look, man, I'm glad that you like Carson Drake. I'm glad that you have somebody that you enjoy watching in the NWA. I don't think he's anywhere near the level of somebody like Silas Mason. And all you'd have to do is put those two in a ring to see the difference, for sure. Carson Drake, I'm sure a lot of people like you agree he's a talented individual, but I don't think he's on the same level as Silas Mason. And that's not to say that you can't find a way to use Carson Drake to maximize his potential, but that's not it. He's not the guy. That ain't him. Although our friend, I think Dennis, I think his name is Dennis, and I apologize because I'm blanking on the name right now, but he said Carson Drake is just a placeholder for Tom Latimer is just a placeholder for Carson Drake, and that made my heart hurt. Not gonna lie, didn't like that. And I apologize. It wasn't Dennis. It was Ryan Davis. It's close. Ryan said that. Shit, Willie. Carson Drake and the slime balls are a human waste. Ouch. Tell me how you really feel, brother. All right. So, we're going to try to go, going back to the Crockett Cup, we're going to try to post as much content from the Crockett Cup as we can, as humanly possible. Of course, if somebody from the NWA tells me to put my phone down or put it away, I'll have to oblige, but I'm going to do everything I can to get that out as much as possible. With that being said, tonight, the last episode of Power Before the Crockett Cup, we have in action a NWA World Tag Team title match as Murnochs take on the Slime Balls, the aforementioned, what do Willie call them? Human waste. We'll have that match taking place tonight. Also, Kenzie Page will defend the title in a triple threat against Carolina Cruz and Amber Nova. And then Tiffany Nieves challenging for the NWA Women's Television title against Big Mama. We're efforting hard to get Big Mama to come on a future episode of the Alliance Blog podcast. So hopefully that will come to fruition. But a lot of great wrestling. A lot of great wrestling that's going to be coming our way on this Saturday, May 17th. If you're not going to be in Philly, which I implore you, do everything you can to get there. But if you're not there, stay tuned to the Alliance Blog on social medias, TikTok, X, Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We're going to try to post as much content as we can while we're there. And hopefully you guys will jump in and enjoy some of the content with us and interact with us while we're there. I know the Professor Rick Del Santo will be there. I know Big Chris Dog, if he's still in the house, he'll be there. Jaden, probably under a hood again, will be there. Your boy Jay will be there. Dave Scooby will be there. And we're going to be doing the damn thing. We're going to get some Philly cheesesteaks. We're going to talk wrestling. We're going to go watch the NWA. We're going to have a great time. I'm very excited about it. Whew. David Valentine says CEP, the next territory, hopefully. I believe that's Championship Entertainment Productions. I don't have a problem with that either, Dave Valentine. And we've seen Joe Ocasio now appear in the NWA more frequently and in a much greater role. You might be onto something this time, David. I could see CEP becoming a territory for the NWA because of that relationship that Joe Ocasio has built with the National Wrestling Alliance. And I think that the NWA is best when it's serving the underserved. This weekend we're going to the 2300 arena, and we're going to have, Philly is not an underserved market for sure, but the NWA coming to the Mid-Atlantic, I think, is a big deal, and a lot of people are going to be excited about that. But I think the best place for NWA to go and places the NWA to be are like New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Before the territory that is now NWA Mexico was formed, I couldn't name one promotion that represented that area. I know there's a lot of promotions in Arizona. I know there's a lot of promotions in Texas, but like, what was the last big wrestling promotion in Iowa? Tell me the last big wrestling promotion from Nebraska. I can't think of a single one. And I feel like if the NWA was really smart, that's where they would go. Because AEW is not going to Bismarck. They're not going to North Dakota. They're not going to, Cody, Wyoming. WWE's not stopping there. They're going to places where they're selling out, 20,000 arenas. Idiotic Central. No way, it's KO. I love it. So if I'm the NWA, I take advantage of those underserved areas. Dothan, Alabama is a perfect example of that. A place where the NWA has done pretty good every time they show up. And it looks great on TV. And it's a good fit for the National Wrestling Alliance. They need to find more venues like that. Now, there's a lot of speculation in our Discord. The link is in the bio if you want to join us on Discord. It is an NWA themed channel. So if you don't want to talk about NWA or have people with optimistic ideals about the NWA, that's not a place for you. But if you're like me and you're a big fan of the NWA, it's a hell of a place to be. There's a lot of speculation. Some people saying Center Stage in Atlanta. Some people think St. Louis. But there's a lot of cool places out there that I think the NWA would really benefit from trying to bring that brand there. So here, Over Metal, you asked, what are the 15 teams announced? Here's what I have, and I could be wrong. There could have been another team announced that I might have missed, but this is what I have wrote down from last week. The Southern Six, Morton and Taylor. The Slime Balls with Carson Drake. Blunt Force Trauma with Aaron Stevens. EC3 and PB Smooth with Pastor CeeLo. The Country Gentleman with Joe Kazana. The Lost with Father James Mitchell. Mr. Grimm and Moses. We haven't seen Moses before, I don't think. Maybe we'll see him at Hard Times. I'm not sure. The newly named Nightmare Syndicate, which is Frank, formerly known as Judeus, and Zion with Austin Idol. Daisy, Kill, and Talos. The number one seed, Murdochs. Kratos and Odinson, the Immortals. Mondo and Slade, that was a very strange pairing. The Temple of Dune, which is, I'm not super familiar with them. I think their match debuted when I was in the UK, and I didn't watch it, so I don't know a whole lot about them. And then wrapping it up, the Colognes. I don't think there has been another team announced just yet, and I'm optimistic that maybe they will announce another team. Maybe there will be a tournament of some sorts to crown a new wild card, like they did at the Crockett Cup in 2018. I don't know, but I'm casually optimistic about it. Idiotic Central. This isn't the place to talk about the WWE. If you are here, if you're on YouTube quite a bit, the hour before the show, so about 1 o'clock, 1:30 on Tuesdays, I go live on both TikTok and on YouTube Vertical, and I talk about WWE. I talk about all wrestling promotions. But for this time, we're specifically about the NWA, unless you want to acknowledge that the WWE superstar Natty Neidhart will be challenging Kenzie Page at the Crockett Cup for the NWA Women's World Championship. But hey, I really do appreciate you asking, and I do appreciate you hanging out. If you like the channel, please like, comment, subscribe. We're always here. In our YouTube shorts, we have a lot of clips from all wrestling promotions, including the WWE and AEW and Major League Pro Wrestling or Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, and anywhere else that your boy Jay or our friends of the Alliance end up. You'll see that content posted. David Valentine says, I think the NWA should go to Bakersfield, California to build up a fan base on the West Coast. That David, I could get behind. That thought process I can get behind, because I don't think Los Angeles and the NWA aren't going to work. David Marquez was promoting the NWA here in Los Angeles, literally in Hollywood, and had difficult time getting people excited about it. And he was using some pretty big names. I'm talking about Willie Mack, I'm talking about Samoa Joe, I'm talking about Scrap Iron Adam Pearce, I'm talking about the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, Colt Cabana. He was using some very well-known names in the industry while building some names, and it just didn't work out. I mean, yeah, they had a following. There are some people who care about the NWA. I know I'm not the only one here in California who cares about the NWA, but I feel like Los Angeles is not the market. There's too much going on. A place like Bakersfield, now I think you might be onto something. You know, they did the grilled cheese truck the grilled cheese festival in Sacramento, which is a lot further up north in Northern California. And there are a lot of independent promotions in what we call NorCal as well. But I still feel like, you know, if you're saying Bakersfield, the Central Coast, not a whole lot going on. And if the NWA really went there and put on an NWA show, I think people would care. There used to be a promotion that did run in Bakersfield called Vendetta Pro that used to be connected to the NWA. And they would bring in Jeff Jarrett, and they would bring in some of the stars from the National Wrestling Alliance. So, yeah, I think there is something to that, David. I do want to ask, do you agree if I say there was no bad match on Backlash? Idiotic Central, I really appreciate the enthusiasm. I did not watch Backlash this year. Just too busy with life. I did not get a chance to see it, but I hope it was good. I really think it's the WWE is hitting a good spot right now. Willie Bowen isn't a big fan, but I feel like especially the way that it is introducing talents from other organizations, you know, Joe Hendry, and the way they introduced a lot of the talents that are coming in now into NXT, I think they're hitting a good stride. But I didn't see it. I got to be honest, I didn't see it. All right, guys. Well, in 2 minutes on X, you can see the NWA episode of Power, again, featuring the matches that we mentioned above. Of course, this Thursday, we'll be back here on this channel as well, on our Kick and on our Twitch channel. We'll be talking NWA Power. We'll be talking about the Crockett Cup. We're going to break down some of the matches that are advertised. We'll talk about, you know, our thoughts, who we think is going to win. So I guess that's our preview show. And then, of course, this Saturday at the Crockett Cup, stay tuned to the Alliance blog on all vehicles, because we'll be trying to talk as much NWA as we can. And until then, you know what, guys? I appreciate you so much for being here. Appreciate you hanging out with me. We'll see you at the matches. Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.